A healthy life starts with great sleep. Wake refreshed with Avocado's GOTS-certified organic green mattress, delivering breathable, back-loving support, natural materials from Avocado's own sustainable wool and latex farms, easy financing, a 1-year sleep trial, and deep, restorative slumbers. Organic sleep awaits at avocadomattress.com.
Don't miss the biggest Maytag sale of the year at Lowe's. You'll find the Maytag appliances you need when you need them at a great price. Plus, when you buy 2 select laundry appliances, you'll get up to a $100 bonus via instant rebate. Shop Maytag at Lowe's. We help, you save. Offer valid through 5/31. See store for pricing and offer details. Advertise savings on all major Maytag appliances through Maytag.com and participating retailers. Prices may vary. Additional terms and conditions apply.
Kempire is brought to you by The Kempire After Dark, the villain era, is finally here. Tickets have now gone on sale for Atlanta, Philadelphia, and New York City. Stay tuned for more announcements. But if you've been looking for an opportunity to meet me in person or hear me spill tea in person, this is your opportunity. We're coming back to City Winery in Philadelphia on July 10th, then Atlanta on August 5th, and then back here in New York City on September 12th. More information on tickets will be available in the description. And don't forget, the New York City show has an exclusive option for live stream. So get your tickets today. You're listening to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. It's day 5 of the Sean Diddy Combs trial, and the prosecution's star witness, Cassie Ventura, has completed her testimony. Dawn Richard was seen going into the courthouse today because she is also set to testify, as rumors swirl that the other former Danity Kane star, Aubrey O'Day, is also here in New York, and she's set to testify. Overnight, it seems as if the prosecution and Diddy's defense are going through it back and forth. Yesterday, in our Day 4 recap, the judge was not happy with the defense, and a lot of people are reporting that the jurors seemed a little bored when the defense was cross-examining Cassie Ventura because they were asking certain questions that didn't seem like they were getting to the point. Hence why the judge in this case said, you guys know the schedule. This woman is very pregnant. We need to get her off the stand today. Diddy's defense team looked as if they were trying to drag this out, and that's exactly what the prosecution has been accusing them of. We have a lot to unpack when it comes to day 5 of the Diddy trial. So I've got my water. I hope you got some snacks. I didn't bring any snacks, but I did bring the tea because there's a lot of things coming out in this trial. I think it's dispelling some of the fake news. Yesterday, we were talking about the baby oil. Remember, people had alleged or conspired and said that there were other substances within the baby oil that may have debilitated alleged victims. Cassie on the stand yesterday said that's not true. There was nothing in the baby oil. We also are hearing multiple celebrities mentioned, from Michael B. Jordan, Britney Spears, Kid Cudi. A lot of people are being mentioned during this because, again, these are very well-known people, well-established people. There were a lot of people around these individuals. We also found out yesterday that Diddy overdosed at one particular point. We also have confirmed that Cassie received $20 million in that lawsuit settlement with Sean Diddy Combs. What we find out today is that they're in the middle of negotiating a $10 million settlement with the Intercontinental Hotel, where the 2016 incident took place. And how they may have covered it up, maybe, allegedly, who knows? So we have a lot to unpack, but we have to talk about what happened overnight, because the prosecution and the defense, although they started off peaceful, now they are really going at it in regards to how this is all playing out. The prosecution's not happy with the lack of transparency, the lack of not giving up information when they're supposed to be giving up information. And I'm basing this in all layman's terms. I'm not giving you the legal mumbo jumbo. Y'all have channels. Y'all can do that. I'm giving you layman's terms, okay? So if you're expecting legal terms, you'll get a little bit here and there, all right? And just a disclaimer, again, I'm going to say this. I'm giving you a rough cut of these recaps because it's a lot to unpack with very little time to edit and get it out to you guys in a timely fashion. And this is day 5. We will have the weekend to catch up on every other thing here on the channel because you know we don't just talk about Diddy. Before we get to what has been playing out in the court today for day 5 of the Diddy trial, let's talk about what happened overnight and the accusations that people believe that Diddy's defense team is trying to cause a mistrial by dragging out Cassie Ventura's testimony. At the time of this recording, Cassie has finished her testimony. There is video footage of Dawn Richard going into the courthouse, so I will be adding on to this video. At the top of this particular video right now, Dawn Richard is not on the stand just yet. But let's get into what People Magazine is writing in regards to the prosecution and why they believe that the defense is playing dirty games and trying to drag this situation out and cause a mistrial by causing stress on Cassie and if she gives birth to mess this whole situation up. People Magazine says this. They said prosecutors in the Sean Diddy Combs trial say their star witness, Cassandra Cassie Ventura, cross-examination must wrap up this week in order to avoid the risk of a mistrial. Ventura, who is 8.5 months pregnant, will be in the court for the 4th day today as she testifies in the federal case against Sean Combs on S-trafficking, racketeering, conspiracy, and transportation to engage in S-workers. We have to change words here too. Okay. Prosecutors now accuse the defense of intentionally dragging out Cassie Ventura's testimony in hopes that she goes into labor, which might trigger a mistrial. Her cross-examination by Combs' defense team began on Thursday, May 15th, lasting the whole day, and is set to continue Friday. And it finished today because the judge was not happy with this, which prosecutors say already affords the defense team multiple hours more than the time she testified for prosecution. In a letter to the judge, prosecutors claim that Combs' defense team had the opportunity to begin their cross-examination Wednesday, but instead requested to end the trial day early. They weren't ready. Later that evening, the defense produced 400 exhibits, which, quote, predictably and significantly delayed the proceedings of cross-examination, the letter read. Prosecutors say that Combs should not be afforded the chance to drag Ventura's cross-examination into next week, which could risk a mistrial if she goes into labor, which people believe that was intentional. It would also allow Combs' team extra days to prepare for the cross-examination if Ventura is made to return for cross-examination next week, prosecutors said. Cassie's very pregnant. And she's talking about very traumatizing things. And some of you that have been through abuse or that have been pregnant, just say the last 4 weeks were some of the worst weeks of your pregnancy. So I can't even imagine. And then hormonally what she's going through. So she talked a lot in all the details of her testimony. We're not going to go through everything that she said. We're just going to go through a summary of the day's events. Our summary, though, is pretty detailed enough for you to get a basic idea of what was said in today's trial. But I will also add things that because I am reading the details throughout the day. And again, always citing our sources. Shout out to Inner City Press. They are doing the damn thing with giving us not a transcript, because I hate to say transcript when it's him just basically regurgitating what he's hearing. There are little errors here and there. He's human. He's doing the Lord's work right now, okay? By getting this information to us as well. But also shout out to our friends over at NBC News. I'm going to utilize them again today. I will try and switch it up next week in regards to the breakdown and the summaries that I'm using. However, like I said before, I'm not just utilizing NBC News. I'm also utilizing my own self, videos that I've done, because we have to talk about Jonathan Oddie. This was another story that we covered a few months ago. The Jonathan Oddie, remember the S-worker, the male S-worker that was interviewed by, he was being interviewed by, I don't think it was the police. I think it was like federal agents. And he basically said back then, but people said that he was crazy. He said that he was an S-slave, a sex slave for Diddy and Cassie. So his name, I'm going to say, again, didn't confirm that's the same person, but they said Jonathan Oddie, and that was the guy's name. And he, in that video, said that he settled a lawsuit with them and he won. We're going to get into that, not just yet, but we're going to get into that because I have the video from when we covered it a few months ago. And I was like, not this coming true. So there's a lot of stuff that's being dispelled or cleaned up or confirmed in day 5 of the Diddy trial. All right, so let's start here. NBC News reminds us that Dawn Richard, a former member of the girl group Danity Kane, is expected to take the witness stand today once lawyers finish questioning Cassie Ventura. And I told you, I didn't think that Dawn would be able to testify today just because, look, at this particular hour, court usually ends at like 5:30. They can have her go up there maybe and have her testify for an hour, but I definitely think that Dawn, depending on what she's sharing, will end up testifying again on Monday. So they said that she's set to testify today. Richard last year filed a lawsuit against Combs accusing him of groping, assaulting, and imprisoning her. Not only that, she also talked about witnessing Sean Diddy Combs allegedly punching Cassie Ventura in the stomach. I do want to emphasize the charges that are being shared, or charged, I should say, when it comes to Diddy are about trafficking, racketeering. We've already told you what he's being charged for. What I've seen so far doesn't seem in line yet, but it's only day 5. So for everyone that keeps saying, oh, Diddy's walking free, or no, Diddy's going to be under the jail, this is only day 5. We have 2 months, less than 2 months now, of what is going to be playing out in court. Because the prosecution has to prove their charges, not domestic violence. They have to prove their charges. What they proved, though, is that even if Diddy were to get off, nobody's going to want to work with him because you've admitted to doing this to this person or persons. We don't know who else will be testifying. Okay, so they talk about Dawn Richard, okay? The judge wants everyone to get on with it. Lawyers blame each other. So this is going back to what I was just talking about from People Magazine, but I'll remind you, U.S. District Court Judge Aaron Subramanian wants the pace of the questioning to pick up, and each side blame the other for slowdowns. What I will say, based on a lot of legal analysts, they said the prosecution was very on point when they were asking their questions of the first couple of witnesses. It was defense. It was the defense that a lot of people are saying that we're dragging this out. If they seemed a little bit all over the place, people were kind of bored, like, where are we going with this? And even the judge admonished them as well. So the judge asked if there were any reason to believe that the day can't end at 5 p.m. The judge was like, it's Friday. I'd like to go home. In a quote, defense lawyer Anna Estebo says, we may have a problem if the government continues to object and insist the witness read text exchanges. And we don't understand why they continue to object on authenticity. Prosecutors pointed the finger at Combs' team, accusing them of dragging this out. The government respectfully submits this letter requesting that the court exercise its discretion to limit the defense's cross-examination of Ms. Ventura, if necessary, to ensure that her examination concludes by the end of the trial day today, according to the letter from the prosecutors. So prosecutors opposed showing video of Combs thanking God in rehab. The government opposed the introduction of a video showing Combs strolling through a natural setting and speaking of his faith. Out here, going for a hike in the morning, nature and God, Combs tells the camera and footage that the defense lawyers said was sent to Ventura while he was in rehab a month after the 2016 Los Angeles assault, which he also claimed in his apology video after the video was leaked to the press. Want to wish you a great, beautiful day. My thing today is to approach everything with grace and calmness and love and God in my heart. I want you to know I'm growing. I want you to grow with me. Love you. Assistant U.S. Attorney Emily Johnson objected to the video. It should be kept from jury and goes to nullification. The judge will allow Ventura to view it and answer questions, but the jurors will not see it. Which I understand. It's sort of trying to paint Diddy out to be what? I feel like that video is just going to manipulate the jury as opposed to what's the point of this? So Ventura tells Combs that she's no ragdoll to be knocked around. Days after she was beaten up in the Los Angeles hotel by Combs, Ventura told the rapper she wouldn't stand for being treated like a, quote, ragdoll. The witness read a March 9th, 2016 text message she sent to Combs telling him, when you get F up the wrong way, You always want to show me you have the power to knock me around. I am not a rag doll. I am someone's child. While this next message paints yet another unflattering picture of Combs, the defense could potentially cite it as an example of Ventura understanding her agency and freedom to walk away from him. This is the angle the defense is taking, saying that this was a mutually abusive relationship. There were times that he was a good guy. There were times that she kept on going back to him. Again, if you understand cycles of abuse, if you understand how old she was when she got with him. I'm not saying that Cassie's innocent here, but she's also a victim here. Okay, Cassie Ventura says that she learned that there was a recording of her from the Intercontinental Hotel in LA where Combs physically assaulted her while she was in Sedona, Arizona, coming down from illicit drugs. Combs' attorney noted that Ventura was concerned the video might have been from a freak-off. He added that Combs was encouraging you to get to the bottom of it with one of his security staffers who was with Ventura in Arizona. Wow, one of his security staffers were with her in See, that's important to note because even when she's off trying to get better, he's got his eye on her anywhere that she goes. This is crazy. Don't let him out of your sight, Combs texts. Ventura acknowledged that she texted Combs back that she didn't see why it was so crazy. The judge hears Ventura's intense fear about freak-off video being released. The jury hears an audio recording of Ventura angrily asking a man if he had an S-tape depicting her in a freak-off. I want to effing see that. It is my effing life, and I will off you. I'm changing the words, just so that you know. This is a quote, but I'm changing the words in regards to what she used here. If you want to pull it up, or I will off you, and he will off you again. I am tired of you talking ish. You said you have it. You are playing games. So the U.S. District Judge, Judge Aaron Subramanian, I'm going to get it right, Judge, I promise, has harsh words for the defense on Thursday over what he perceived as a prolonged cross-examination. We talked about this yesterday, but they're highlighting it here. They said this will certainly be an issue during Ventura's testimony today, as it may be difficult for the defense to complete their cross, the prosecution to complete their redirect, and the defense to complete any recross all in one day. The Sixth Amendment of the U.S. Constitution guarantees each criminal defendant the right to be confronted with the witnesses against him. A district court should afford wide latitude to a defendant in a criminal case to cross-examine government witnesses. At the same time, the Confrontation Clause does not prevent a trial judge from imposing any limits on a defense counsel's inquiry in cross-examining a prosecution witness. In other words, the court has broad discretion in this area. In my opinion, admittedly as a biased defense attorney, the prosecution has the burden in this case, and they chose a witness who they knew would be 8 months pregnant at the time of trial. Of course, Ventura's health is important, but another day on the stand to protect Combs' rights is a minimal additional intrusion. If the testimony continues to Monday, it should continue to Monday. If Ventura goes into labor over the weekend, any resulting mistrial is respectfully on the prosecution, not the defense. What we know by now is that they did complete the testimony with Cassie Ventura today. I like hearing the different perspective in regards to this. So they talked about this in day 5 of the Diddy trial, that Ventura sought therapy, but not for sex or love addiction. Ventura said that she once spent 45 days being treated for traumatic memories, but not for anything connected to an addiction to love or sex. Mind you, she literally says in 2023, she was in getting therapy, like different treatments for the trauma that she's been through. Also in 2023 is when she was talking about taking her life. So this is very recent. I think that's important to note what we're talking about here, the trauma that she's gone through. She was treated at Willow House in Arizona, where therapists help, quote, you recount memories. It is a part of the trauma therapy, Ventura said during her cross-examination. She says it helps you process them and helps you recount memories. They hook you to a machine and it regulates your brain waves. She added, it lets you complete a trauma that I cut off. But Ventura said that she wasn't treated for any addiction to love or sex, which she would presumably be behind her staying in an abusive relationship with Combs. The judge, again, chastises lawyers for not picking up the pace. The judge is like, it is Friday. I'm being facetious when I say that. No, the judge is just like, okay, what is happening here? Yet again, Judge Aaron Subramanian lets both sides know his displeasure with continuing objections voiced by prosecutors and the disjointed presentation by defense lawyers that's keeping the 8-month pregnant Ventura on the stand. We are not going to proceed in this fashion, the judge said. A few ground rules. You say objection, you must say the grounds. If the prosecution says objection on grounds of blah, 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 blah. He added, in terms of admitting exhibits, why is there confusion among the parties about what is admitted and what is not admitted? The judge has said that he wants Ventura's testimony to be concluded today, and he got his wish today. So they said Ventura admits that she once suggested hiring a woman for a freak-off. The defense showed that Ventura, in a 2010 text, in which she seemed to suggest to Combs that they bring a woman instead of a man to their regular freak-off sessions. Yes, that's what I'm suggesting, Ventura said under cross-examination. The defense has conceded that Combs is prone to violent and boorish behavior, but his lawyers insist that Ventura and other alleged victims were consensual adults with agency to make their own decisions and thus were not trafficked for sex as the government claims. So that's their stance. And I hope, and I'm assuming, I don't know, if we go through this entire case and they do not bring on a therapist, a psychologist, psychiatrist, or an expert when it comes to cycles of abuse, I would be really shocked. Just so that the jury needs to be educated on why someone might stay. We can't assume that the jury, because I know a lot of people in the comment section don't understand this, and these are everyday people that are a part of the jury. They need to also be educated on why someone might stay in a toxic relationship like this. Cassie Ventura said that Combs invited her to Burning Man in 2018 after they had broken up. She was now dating her soon-to-be husband, Alex Fine, but joined Combs for dinner at an Italian Malibu restaurant, after which Ventura alleged Combs took her home, went inside her apartment, and raped her. Ventura said during the dinner, Combs seemed different. He was acting strangely. Yes, she testified. Okay. Combs heavily involved with cross-examination of Ventura. They said Sean Combs has been very involved in the cross-examination of Cassie Ventura. Here's the scary part about that, and that's why I say kudos to Cassie for testifying and doing this so in front of Sean Combs, her abuser. So I don't think we need to debate that, because he knows the things that trigger her. He knows that. And I believe we're not just talking about an everyday person. We're talking about someone I believe knows how to trigger people that does this. And the fact that he's heavily involved in knowing what might trigger her or what stories to tell. I mean, of course, this is defense. That's his right. But this is important to know. They said Sean Combs has been very involved in the cross-examination of Cassie Ventura. He's leaning in to read the transcript on the monitor, passing notes down the line to be handed to his defense team, specifically Anna Estavo, and whispering with the attorney, Mark Agnafilo. What are y'all whispering? Cassie says that she had consensual sex with Combs after she said that he raped her. Again, this is why it's important to bring in an expert that handles cycles of abuse. And I'm mentioning this, I'm not an expert, but I'm telling you, if you speak to individuals that are experts in this area, they would tell you that's not uncommon. Cassie Ventura said that she had consensual sex with Combs shortly after she says that he raped her. The consensual encounter occurred during September, she said, while she was dating her soon-to-be husband, Alex Fine. Ventura said that she FaceTimed Fine sometime during that evening. After the encounter, Ventura testified that she texted Combs that she had a great time. Ventura added that after she told Fine that Combs raped her, Fine punched a hole in the wall. The other important element that for me in day 5 that should be noted is that, and some people don't know this because you're not following every single detail of the case, is that Cassie, throughout her testimonies, talking about dating other people while still being involved in freak-offs with Diddy, because she saw being in these freak-offs as a job. So she pretty much viewed herself as a worker, very much like the people that she was hiring for Diddy to watch them have these interactions. So she didn't really feel like she was in a relationship necessarily with Diddy, at least at some particular point in this 11 years of them being together, because he wouldn't allow her to get close with his kids. And in day 5 of the testimony, she talked about how she had texted him after Kim Porter's memorial, and he said that Kim Porter was his soulmate. And she was like, and any woman, I think, any person, after, even if you're over, like, that's your soulmate, after 11 years, that was your soulmate. So that's mentioned in day 5. I'm not sure if NBC captures all that, because again, this is just a summary that we're giving you. Okay. So they said that Cassie said that she had consensual sex with Combs after he had raped her. I'm going to move on from there. So the court goes into recess for a lunch break, and Cassie remains on the witness stand after lunch. So back after lunch, court is back in session, and Combs' defense team has been told they have 3 hours to wrap up its cross-examination of Ventura. The prosecution would then have another chance to question Ventura as the judge seeks to cut her loose by day's end. We're almost finished, the defense lawyer Estevao told Ventura. Thank you, the witness said. Combs' defense finished its cross-examination of Ventura, bringing her a step closer to leaving court. She's now subject to redirect examination by prosecutors and then another possible round of questions by the defense. But it's fair to say she's closing in on the end of her testimony. And I'm sure for Cassie, it's sort of like an end to this nightmare of a connection to this man. Like, I feel a sigh of relief for her. The defense ended its questioning of Ventura, asking her to read a text message exchange she had with Combs in September of 2012. Combs asked if she wanted to engage in one last freak-off. Ventura responded that she didn't want to freak off for the last time. I want it to be the first time for the rest of our lives. Combs calls Cassie the greatest woman in the world in a 2019 email exchange. Sean Combs had congratulated Cassie Ventura on her pregnancy and described her as the greatest woman in the world during a 2019 email exchange. You will make a beautiful mother. God bless, Combs wrote before wishing her a blessed day. His defense attorney told the court as they concluded their cross-examination. Ventura thanked Combs, told him that she missed him, and hoped that he was taking care of himself. Means a lot, means more than you know. Please know I am always here if you need me, Combs wrote to Ventura. I pray for the day we can sit down and I can let you know all the things I'm reflecting on. I thank God for the time we had together. Combs said that Ventura was the greatest woman in the world. Ventura responded, I don't hate you. I never have. And as they're trying to make him seem, your star witness clearly has moved on and forgiven him. But has she? All right, so the prosecution ended up asking more questions of Cassie. But before we get to that, I want to highlight this video. So Jonathan Oddie was mentioned in today's testimony from Cassie. And it stood out to me. And I'm glad that I saw it because I was like, wait a minute. Are they talking about the same Jonathan Oddie, the same guy that this old footage of him being interrogated and he brings up Diddy and a few different other celebrities in regards to them being in the Illuminati, in regards to being an S-slave for Cassie and Diddy? He's also claiming that he heard a lot of different things. Where is Jonathan Oddie right now? Where is he? Is he in jail? I don't know. I'm asking questions because I'm wondering, because even if you're in jail, they can let you out to testify. Let me play this for you. The Neighborhood Talk, they write this. They said, a man named Jonathan Oddie is going viral after a 2018 video has surfaced of him alleging that he had sex with Diddy and Cassie. The claims were made when Oddie was being questioned by Florida investigators for an unrelated case. He says, I had sex with Cassie and Sean. He said he would pleasure himself and tell me what to do to Cassie. If you read the 35-page lawsuit that Cassie presented, this is the only reason why I'm even talking about it, because I've read that lawsuit. Everything that she said in that lawsuit in 2023, this man said in 2018. All right. So he says, I was like a slave, okay, for them. That's what I was. Diddy forced her to participate in, quote, freak-offs with male prostitutes, and that he would masturbate while watching them. But that's not all Adi alleged during his 2018 interrogation. Adi alleged that rich celebs would move a female rapper of transporting drugs for Diddy on a private jet in his lawsuit from this year. Adi also made allegations about Rick Ross and DJ Khaled. He said Diddy, Ross, and Khaled, they're all gay, he alleged. Later in the video, Adi claims that he caught an STD as a result of being involved in the freak-offs. Take a look at the footage.
Which they good buddies, okay? They're gay.
Who?
Both. Diddy and Ross. And Khaled. They're all gay. Okay?
DJ Khaled, Rick Ross,
yeah.
and P. Diddy?
Yeah.
They all gay?
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
Khaled is a Hamas supporter. Okay?
Who supporter?
Hamas.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Sorry, I said it wrong.
No worries.
Hamas supporter. Okay?
Right.
Okay, how do I know this?
Yeah, that's what I want to know. How do you know this?
Do you know Sean Combs?
Puff Daddy?
Yeah.
P. Diddy, whatever you call himself these days. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he's part of what's called the Boule. The Boule is a branch of the Illuminati.
Okay.
For a long time, a lot of people thought that this man was just crazy. He didn't know what he was talking about. So if they're confirming that some of what he said in Cassie's testimony is true, why am I not to believe that everything that he said is true? Is the Illuminati true? Real? The Boule? But the Boule is a real thing. But, okay.
I had sex with Cassie and Sean. Basically, he would masturbate and tell me what to do with Cassie. I had like 15 encounters, and I heard a lot of business. Because what they would do is Sean talks a lot on the phone and on the TV with speakers and stuff, and I was like a slave, okay? For them, that's what I was. That's all right? I caught herpes, and I came back and I sued him for the herpes and won. But they did Mark Garagos and Ben Mercedes were his attorneys, okay? And Christopher Leon's here was my attorney. They asked me to turn in that, which was the video recording, and I did so. They gave it back to me accidentally, and it's possible, I threw everything out, it's possible I can produce a copy.
Gotcha.
It's possible, I'm not sure.
So back then, they probably were not taking this man seriously. And they weren't taking him seriously then, but we're taking him seriously now. Okay. All right. Let me get back into day 5 of the Diddy trial. But before we do that, reminder, guys, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe. And don't forget to turn your notification on. And don't forget, you can hear some of our trial coverage and more on the Kempire podcast. Be sure to subscribe today, Kempire on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And be sure to give us a 5-star rating because it matters. Also, the Kempire After Dark live show, the Kempire After Dark, The Villain Era, is coming to a city near you. Today, tickets went on sale for our Philly show date, which is on July 10th, and Atlanta on August 5th. Both at City Winery. Go get your tickets today. More information on both shows and our New York City show that's happening on Friday, September 12th will be available in the description. And a reminder, the New York City show will have a live stream option. So get your tickets for that. Again, more information on all of our shows, Philly, Atlanta, and New York City, will be available in the description. So back to this. In regards to day 5 of the Diddy trial, here's what they're reporting when prosecutors questioned Cassie. After a day and a half of being questioned by Combs' attorneys, the government just began its second round of questions for the key witness, Cassie Ventura. Right off the bat, prosecutors appear to be attempting to counter how the defense has painted Ventura as a willing participant in Combs' freak-offs and content in their relationship. Ventura testified that while there were times when Combs was kind and loving, those periods didn't last. I was open to a world of chaos and his lifestyle a lot. Ventura considered herself an S-worker for Combs. The government's key witness said that she considers herself an S-worker serving Combs in a dramatic, though officially stricken from the record moment of the trial. Ventura said that the freak-offs with Combs became so frequent, it impacted her career as an aspiring singer and actor. I had a whole other job, basically, a S-worker, she told prosecutors in a redirect testimony. The defense objected to the answer, and the judge told jurors to disregard Ventura's statement. But the jury will disregard it, but they won't forget it, and that's intentional. Though it was impossible to unhear, NBC News reports. Any implication that Ventura was anything but a consenting girlfriend could boost the government's narrative that Combs allegedly ran racketeering operation, using employees and his power to move victims across state lines to engage in sex and ladies, men of the night S-workers. So that's important. And remember, I mentioned to you that Diddy had one of his security staffers basically with Cassie when she was receiving rehab treatments. That's important to know. Use resources. That's the case that the government has to prove. Not DV. They have to prove the charges that they're bringing against him. S-trafficking, racketeering. So NBC continues. They said that the witness testified that Combs R''d her in August of 2018 before she had consensual sex with him at a short time later. The prosecutor, Johnson, asked if she had any doubts that Combs S.'d her nearly 7 years ago, and witness said no doubts. Johnson then asked Ventura if she had consensual sex with him just a few weeks later, and she replied yes. And here's the thing, this is also important to note, because I feel like we're all learning about cycles of abuse and abusive relationships. There are women, there are people in relationships, marriages, that are raped by their partners, meaning having sex when they do not want to, that will end up having sex when they do want to. So if someone tells you no, even though you might say yes later, are two different situations. Doesn't change the fact that before you raped someone. I just want to add the context here, everyone. Cassie Ventura told the jury that Combs would become violent if she attempted to leave a freak-off without permission. He would get violent. It would be horrible, Ventura alleged in the courtroom. She also described Combs beating at her at the Intercontinental Hotel. During the freak-off, he hit me in the eye, and I left before he said it was over, Ventura testified. He followed me to the hallway, and he dragged me back. He was wearing a towel and socks. We saw the video footage of this. During its cross-examination of Cassie Ventura, the defense, trying to show that being with Combs gave Ventura entry into a world of celebrities and musicians that she otherwise would not have been able to obtain. Oh, the defense right now. His attorney, Anna Estaba, and please understand the fact that they have a woman doing the cross-examination, the recross, is intentional. Okay, it's intentional. Noted that Ventura went to the Met Gala and had unprecedented access to producers because of her relationship with Combs. Yeah, she had unprecedented access, but she never released another album after her debut album for 10 years. You said it was a world of chaos, freak-offs, drugs, and partying, but by being with him, you could meet other people in the entertainment industry and go to fascinating places, Estevaux said. The defense had Ventura admit that there were all kinds of career benefits to being Combs' girlfriend. Ventura said she attended the Met Gala with Combs, got a lot of studio time through the rapper, and met many influential entertainers as Kid Cudi, Nicki Minaj, Lil Wayne, and Rick Ross. The witness's legal team is still negotiating a settlement with the hotel over the 2016 Los Angeles hotel assault, which was captured by security cameras. So she could end up potentially getting another $10 million on top of the $20 million that she admitted in court yesterday. She says, I do not know the exact number. I think 10 million maybe, she said under cross-examination. A deal has not been struck yet, she said, but an 8-digit payout is the expectation. Ventura was excused from the witness stand moments later. Have a great weekend, the judge told Ventura, who's 8 months pregnant. Whew, Lord. The The girl group Combs assembled on the MTV reality competition show Making of the Band is set to testify. The government says that Richard will testify that she observed violence against Cassie Ventura, saw Combs with GUNs and illicit drugs, and that Combs and his associates tried to silence her. Richard sued Combs last year, alleging that he groped, assaulted, and imprisoned her and threatened her life when she tried to intervene in defense of Ventura. Doug Wigdor last week on this very graphic subject is a true testament to her character, Wigdor said outside the courtroom after Ventura's testimony concluded. Asked about Ventura's testimony, such as not hating Sean Combs and still having love for him, Wigdor responded, "It's a complex situation. I think we all know and can appreciate that there are many women, as I'm speaking here today, who are abused by people who they love." He added, Ventura and Combs shared a 10-year relationship. I think she readily admitted that there are some good times in the relationship, Wigdor added. But that does not permit someone to do the things that she testified to her and to control her, and quote, mood lighting were seized by authorities as they arrested Combs at a New York City hotel nearly 8 months ago. So this is recent, they're talking about. Prosecutors had Homeland Security Investigation Special Agent Yasin Binda detail seized items from Combs, who had been in room 22115 of the Park Hyatt Hotel on West 57, a bottle of the Klonopin, and $9,000 in cash, the agent said. They also found a lighting device that Binda said, I would describe it as potentially mood lighting. Former Danity Kane star and Diddy Dirty Money star Dawn Richard had taken the stand, but right now she's been relieved for the day. Looks like she will have to return on Monday because she wasn't there for a long time. So according to our friends over at NBC News, they said that Dawn Richard, a former member of Danity Kane in the all-girl group Diddy created on MTV Making of the Band, testified that she saw Sean Combs physically assault Cassie Ventura inside his LA home in 2009. So the incident that I talked to you about that was in her lawsuit, apparently there were more. She says, actually, I want to read for you guys because I haven't been reading the transcripts and things like that too, but it's short. She wasn't up there long. Okay, so, and this is from our friends over at Inner City Press, again, doing the Lord's work in regards to getting this information to us. Okay, let me just read this to you really quickly. Dawn Richard takes the stand. The judge says the U.S. may call its next witness. Your Honor, the government calls Dawn Richard. The government says, where are you from? Dawn responds, New Orleans, Louisiana. The government says, from 2004 to 2011, who did you work for? Dawn Richard responds, Puff, Sean Combs. I literally can hear her voice. I've interviewed her multiple times, too. The government says, do you see him? She says, yes. The government says, who is depicted in this photo? Dawn Richard says, Cassie. The government says, in 2009, did you observe an incident between Puff and Cassie? Dawn Richard says, she was attacked by Sean Combs, kicked. The government says, did you see more violence by him against Cassie? Dawn responds. Then Inner City Press highlights it, says a photo of Diddy Dirty Money is shown. The government says, when you were a member of this group, Dawn Richard says 2009 to 2011. The government says the incident in 2009 when Sean Combs beat Cassie, where was it? Dawn Richard responds, in Sean Combs' LA home. We were recording. The government says, what did he do? Dawn responds, he was saying, where the F is my food? He grabbed a black skillet with eggs and tried to hit her over the head. Cassie dropped to the ground. The government says, what did she do? Dawn responds, she went into a fetal position. The government says, then what? Dawn responds and she says Sean Combs was kicking her in the head and body, then dragged her up to the first floor, glass breaking and yelling. I was scared for her and for me too. The government says, did you intervene? Dawn says, no. Government says, did you call the police? She responds, no. The government says, the next day, what happened? Dawn responds, she says that it had been passionate and she was okay. I'm assuming, I don't like to assume, but especially in this, I'm assuming she's referring to what Diddy said. the next day, that it has been passionate and that she was okay, that it would be better if we didn't talk, that people could end up missing. The government says, how did you understand that? Dawn says, death. Not death. Combs' attorney, Agnafilo, says, objection. Then they have a sidebar. Back from the sidebar, the judge, Subramanian, says, jurors, you can leave. Excuse me, judge. The judge is like, it is 5 o'clock. He says, jurors, you can leave for the weekend, watch the Yankees play the Mets or the Knicks. If you're not into sports, there's a lot going on. See you Monday. Remember, they're not being sequestered in this case. The jurors leave. The judge says, Mr. Richard, you can leave. I'm assuming the defense has to cross-examine her, so I'm assuming Dawn Richard will be back on Monday. But I was like, what? How are we leaving on a cliffhanger? But okay. So back to NBC News in regards to what Dawn says. That she says she was scared. I was too scared to do anything. She testified. Richard says that Combs put his arm around Ventura's neck, dragged her upstairs, and then heard glass breaking. Again, Dawn says that she was scared and she was too scared to do anything. As I mentioned to you before, the judge dismissed the jurors and told them, we know how hard it is for you, your families, for everyone. He told the panel, you are the bedrock for democracy. We will keep working over the weekend. Watch the Mets, Yankees, Knicks. See you on Monday. The judge asked the jurors to return to court at 8:30 on Monday. Shout out to the jurors, because this is going to be a long case. This is 2 months, and this is very sensitive information that's being shared, video that they're seeing, topics that are being discussed. They're going to need a lot of just rest. Yes, watch the game. Go Knicks, right? Guys, I want to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comment section, but let's be mindful of each other. Let's allow people to have their opinions, but let's also be respectful. Let's continue this conversation, and I will see you back here on Monday for day 6 of the Sean Diddy Combs trial. As always, don't forget you can hear an audio of our live recaps and special episodes on the Kempire podcast, available on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. While you're there, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating. And while you're here watching us on YouTube, don't forget to like this video, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to turn your notifications on, because you never know, I might actually go live and cover some breaking news. Thanks you guys so much for watching and for listening. Thanks for tuning in to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. Don't forget to give the Kempire 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And as always, for more information on everything Kempire Radio Network, head on over to KempireRadio.com.